Good day, my viewers. Welcome to this channel. In this tutorial, we are going to be explaining in details how to install and set up Django application, how to create simple view functions, how to create URL routes. We'll also look into how you can create and set up HTML templates, and finally, how to set up Tailwind CSS for styling your web applications. If this is what you are looking for, sit back, take a cup of coffee, and watch this video. Thank you for viewing. Now let us begin. Let's start with installing and setting up our Django application. Now to do that, we'll go over to our command prompt. In our terminal, you can go to your Windows and type CMD on the search bar to bring out your command prompt, or you can type in command prompt to bring it out. Now I have my command prompt here already. Now I am going to choose a location and a folder for this application. From my own side, I am going to use the desktop location, so I'm going to say cd into my desktop. In my desktop, I am going to create a folder, and I'm going to call the folder my app. So to do this, I will use the command make directory mkdir, and I'm going to call the directory my app. Now I'm going to go into my app by saying cd my app. Inside of my app, to set up Django, we have to create a virtual environment. Now to do that, we are going to use the command Python -m pip install virtual env. Now for you to be able to run this command, you must have Python installed in your system. If you don't have Python installed in your system, go over to your browser and go to python.org, download and install into your system. Having done that, you can go ahead and proceed with this tutorial. Alright, we are waiting for our virtual environment to be installed. After installing, we are going to create the virtual environment, activate it, and then run our Django installation. Alright, now we have our virtual environment installed already. So what we are going to do right away is to create our virtual environment. To create a virtual environment, we are going to use the command python -m virtual env, and we are going to give it a name. I'm going to call my virtual environment env. So let's go ahead and hit this command. Right now, we have our virtual environment created for us. We are going to go ahead to activate our virtual environment. For the Windows platform, to activate your virtual environment, you are going to use the name of the virtual environment that we created, followed by scripts, and then activate. Note that I am using the backward slash. Now I'm going to hit enter to activate, and we are going to see the name of our virtual environment right here, and this is what we have here. Now if you are on a Mac or Linux operating system, you are going to say source, then env forward slash, you are going to say bin, and we are going to say activate. Okay, that's if you are on a Windows or Linux or Mac operating system. Now that we have our virtual environment installed and created, and activated for us, we are going to go ahead and install our Django application. So right now we are about to install our Django web application. We have successfully created the virtual environment, set it up and activate it. Now for us to install our Django, we are going to use the command Python -m, and we are going to say pip install Django. Alright, right now our Django has been successfully installed. Now we are going to open our code editor. I am using the Visual Studio Code, so I am going to open the Visual Studio Code and open this folder in my code editor. To do that, I am going to use a command code dot that will open this folder in my Visual Studio Code, and we will proceed from there. Right now we have our code editor open, so I'm going to go ahead and open the terminal to run some commands. So going over to these three dots here, I'm going to click on terminal and new terminal. Alright, so we have our terminal open, and we will make sure that our virtual environment is still activated. Let's go ahead and activate our virtual environment. So we are going to use the command again, env /script /activate. Alright, now we are sure that our virtual environment is activated. We are going to create our Django application using the command Django admin, Django-admin, and we are going to say start project. And the name of our project, we want to call it my app, and it will be followed by a period, which is a full stop, to ensure that extra files are not created for us by Django. So this will create our project for us, and it will include some files. So let's go ahead and wait for the project to be created. Now our project has been successfully created, and we can see it here on my screen. Let me go ahead and open. We have some files created for us. We have the WSGI file, which is the web server graphic interface file. We have the URLs of Wi-Fi. This is where we configure our parts, our project URLs. Okay, um, we make an import here and we configure our routes. So this file handles our routing. We have the settings of Wi-Fi. The settings of Wi-Fi is where we register our applications. We configure our application here in this file. So this file handles our configurations, our settings. Then we have the manage.py, and this is the file that handles our Python commands, our Django commands. This file can be seen as the executor file. Alright, now that we have a brief introduction of our project files, we are going to go ahead and create we are going to go ahead and create simple view functions and URL routes. Now let's go ahead and in our terminal, before we do that, we are going to create an app. We are going to create an app, and we will then register it before we can create our functions and our routes. Now, inside of a terminal, I'm going to create an app. Let's call the app main. So we are going to use the command Python. Okay, I have a typo here. We're going to say type on Python manage.py, and we are going to say start app, and we are going to give it a name. We're going to give it a name main. We're going to give it a name main. Alright, our main app has been created for us, and here we have it on the left panel of the code editor. Inside of this app created, we have a folder called migrations. When we create models and push them to our database, this file here handles the migrations. It keeps track of the migrations of the changes we make to our database models. Now the admin file, the admin.py file, enables us to register our models. Okay, so we can see them on the admin page. Then we have the apps.py file that configures our application. So we are going to come back to this in a moment. We have the models.py file where we write our models, and we have the test.py file for unit tests if you want to run some tests. We have our views.py file. This is where we create our view functions, the logic behind our web pages. This is where we handle the logic in the views.py file. And we are going to create an extra file which we saw in our root folder, and here we are going to create a file named urls.py to handle our URL routes for this application. Now we are going to make an import here. We are going to say from Django, .urls, and we are going to say import paths. Okay, so let's save this for now. I'm going to come back to this file in a moment, but before we proceed, I would like us to go into our app root folder and go to our settings.py, and we are going to register our new application, the main application that we just created. We are going to register it. To do that, we will say go into the main application and look for the file apps.py and get this main configuration. So we are going back here, say go into the main application, look for the apps file and get a hold of the main configuration. Then we are going to close this with a comma. Now we have registered our application. One more thing to do, we are going to go into the urls.py file of our root folder, our project. We are going in here and we are going to add to this import the include function. We are going to add the include function, and right here we are going to add a path, and we are saying in essence include every merchant route, every route and all the routes in our main application. We are going to say include them here. So instead of looking into our main project, we should go into our main application and match all the routes. Okay, so what this file is saying basically is match all the routes in our main application. Alright, I am getting an error here, and let's see why. Alright, we have it fixed. So having configured this, we can go ahead and use our URL routes in our main application. The next thing to do, now that we have configured this setting, there's one more thing I would like us to do. We are going to create our view functions. We are going to create our templates. Now, to create our templates, I am going into the main, our app, and we are going to create a folder here, and we will call it templates. We'll call it templates. Now we are looking into how we can create templates. Now we'll create the folder templates and go ahead and create another folder inside of the template, and we call it main. And you can see that it has the same name as our application. Now inside of this main, this folder is where we are going to create our HTML templates. Alright, now I will go ahead and create a simple template. Let us create our template. Let's create a file and call it home.html, and let's return a simple h1 tag. Let's return a simple h1 tag. Okay. And let's call it home page. Okay, so let me close this off. Now we are going to create a view function for this file. To create a view function, we are going into our views.py file, and we are going to create a function to handle that page, and we call it home. We pass in a request object, then we are going to simply return the render method. We are going to pass in the request, and we are going to pass in the name of the file. So we say main/home.html. Then we go into our urls.py file. Inside of our urls.py file, we are going to return a URL patterns, and here we define the paths, we define our routes. No, we define our routes in here. So what we're going to say, we're going to define our routes. So you receive 2 parameters here, or let's say 3 parameters. So the first one is the routes, where you want the file to be seen on the web page. The route. So this is our home page. That is why we have an empty string here. Now we are going to we're going to include the function, the view function, that is going to handle this page, and we call the function home, and we give it a name home. For this to work, we have to import the views file here. So we are going to say from dot, that is from the same folder, from the same folder level, import the views file. So we can go ahead and save this, and we should be able to see our home page on our browser. So let's go over to our terminal, and we are going to start our server. We're going to say Python manage.py. We are going to say run server. This should open our server without any error. Let's go ahead and wait for that. Alright, now our server is up and running, so we will go over to our browser and see if we can view this function. So we'll go over to our browser right here, and we see we have successfully created a template. First off, we installed our virtual environment. We had to then create a virtual environment, activate it, and we created a project. Now we have seen how we can create templates. Alright, we have created a template, created a view function, and we have been able to view the function on our web browser. Now, next off, I would like to go over to how we can set up our Tailwind CSS for styling. Let's give it a minimal styling. So let's go ahead and set up Tailwind CSS for this project before we can proceed. Now, to set up our Tailwind CSS, we'll go over to the documentation and we are going to use the package Tailwind, Django Tailwind. Now we are going to install the package using the Python-m pip install Tailwind, pip install Django Tailwind. Now we are going back to our terminal. Going back to our terminal, I am going to create a new terminal. I have a new terminal open right here, and I'm going to run this command Python-m pip install Django Tailwind. So let's go over and install this package already. So we have our package installed. Next thing to do, alright, now that we have installed our package, if you want to be having automatic reload when you set the CSS classes and save a file, you would like to use this command. You like to add the reload to your command. Okay, now that we have installed our Django Tailwind, we go over to our settings of Wi-Fi and we are going to add the Tailwind to tell Django that hey, we are using Tailwind in this application. So let's go over and register that. I'm going to say Tailwind. Alright. Okay. So the next thing to do after we have added Tailwind to our installed apps, we are going to set our npm executables. Now, if you are on a Mac or Linux operating system, you should add this line to your settings of Wi-Fi. And if you are on a Windows, you should add this line. For me, I'm on a Windows platform, so I'm going to copy this line of code and add it to my settings of Wi-Fi. Okay, I'm going to add this to my settings of Wi-Fi. We'll go over to your settings of Wi-Fi and we are going to add this line of code. So let me scroll down a bit and I'm going to add the line of code here and save this. And after doing that, we will now go ahead and create a Tailwind CSS compatible Django app, and we are going to call it theme. So we are going to use this command. We are going to say Python. We're going to say Python manage.py Tailwind init. We're going to say Python manage.py Tailwind init to initialize Tailwind in our application. And when we are done installing that, setting it up, we are going back to install apps and we are going to add the theme. So I'll go back to my terminal and we are going to say Python manage.py Tailwind init. So our Tailwind is being initialized at the moment. We are going to wait for it to be initialized. Let's go ahead and give it a name. I will call it theme. And this has been created for us. Now we go into our settings of Python. Inside of our installed apps, we are going to add a theme. We're going to add a theme this way. We have it added for us. Okay. Now we have that added. We are going to register the theme app by adding this line inside of our settings of Wi-Fi. We are going to add the line tailwind underscore app underscore name, set that equal to theme, which is the name that we gave our app. So to register that, now go up here and add that line of code, and remember to type it in correctly to avoid running into error. Alright, so we have that done for us. So next thing for us to do is to install the dependencies by running the following command. We are going to install our Tailwind dependencies. Alright, we're going to say Python manage.py Tailwind install. So we are going back to our terminal and we are going to say Python manage.py Tailwind install to install our Tailwind dependencies. Now let's wait for this to install and we will proceed from there. Now, after installing our Tailwind dependencies, Django comes with a simple base.tail HTML template that we are going to find in our theme app. The theme app we created will come with a base.html file, but in case we are not going to be using that file, we are going to add Tailwind CSS directive in our main project. So come with me, let me create another template and add this directive into it. Alright, so come with me to my terminal. I'm going to create another template, and there is a reason why I want to do this. So follow along with me. Go into your project, and in the root of your project, we are going to create a folder. No, we're going to create a folder in the root of our project. I'm going to create a folder. No, this is not location. I want to create a folder here. So make sure it's in the root. Now we're going to call it templates. We're going to call it templates. And inside of this template, I want to create a main template that other templates we inherit from, so that I can pass my Django Tailwindcss tags in here. So inside of this, I am going to return a HTML. Going to return a HTML tag here, and I'm going to call this my app, and I will comment this out for now because we don't need it. Right, I'll save this for now. Then I'm going to register this template. Let me go to our settings.py, and we are going to the templates, and we add a directory. We just created a directory that we named template. So we are going to say go into the root of our folder and locate this directory called templates, and that we have it registered so we can use that template in our application. Now we have our dependencies installed. Let's let's now see how we can use this package. So um, after installing our dependencies, we are going to make use of these tags. You see these tags here, just load static tailwind underscore tags and the closing tailwind CSS tag. It enables Django to look for tailwind CSS and apply the styles. So we are going to make use of this. I'm going to make use of these tags right here. So let me go ahead and copy this, and we are going to use it right now. So we are going to place this tag in our HTML file. We're going to place this tag in our HTML file. Remember, we created a templates folder in the root of our project, and we created a file main.html file in it. So we are going to place this tag right here at the top of our file. I'm going to place this tag, and the second one we're going to place it inside of our head. Like instead of the head tag, we are going to place the second one right here. So let's go inside of our templates. So I'm going to place the second tag right here. Right. So that defines, that will enable Django to make use of the tailwind CSS classes. Now, I want to talk about template inheritance. Now that we created a main template, and the reason why I said we created this is just in case you want a general theme all over your website and you want other pages to be consistently having that theme. Instead of adding this tag in every page that we create, I decided to create a parent page that will house other pages, and that is why I created this templates folder and created this main.html file. So inside of here, we are going to make use of a tag that Django provides for us, and it's called the blog tag, where we'll say um, we'll create a blog content, and we are going to close it off also. So we say curly braces percent symbol, then the keyword is blog, then followed by whatever you want to name the blog. So I named it blog content. Okay, so I'm going to say percent symbol, then end blog, and whatever you call it. If you, it's optional to add a name here, so I just want to add a name. So what is saying, whichever template that is inheriting from this parent template should place its content inside of this blog content. And then for this to be effective, we have to extend this template by using the extend keyword. So I'm going back to the home.html file that we created, and I am going to extend that main.html file so that whatever styles I apply there, it will also affect the space. So I'm going to create the extends, and we have it here. We have the extends, and we call it main.html. So we have extended out, and we are going to create a blog content. Remember, we created a blog content that we house the contents of this page, and we are going to close it off by saying and blog. So we have it right here. Now let's let's start our application. So having added these styles, what we are going to do next now, while we are installing Django Tailwind, I said something about adding the reload. You can remember I didn't do that, I didn't add it, but if you did that by installing the app to have automatic page load, if you added this reload to your installation, then when you come over to this section, when you come over to when you come over to this section, you are going to add this line of code. You are going to add this line inside of your installed apps. What this does is to enable in your development mode to reload and apply the styles when you save your file. But since I didn't add that reload to my installation, I'm going to skip this for now, but I will advise you to do that while installing your Django Tailwind. Now, we'll go over to our middleware section in our settings of Python, and we are going to add this line of code. We're going to add this. Now again, this line is necessary if you are using the reload method. So go ahead and copy it and add it to your file. Then in your url.py file, we are going to also add this part. Okay, and that should be all for now. Then finally, the next thing to do is to run the command python manage.py tailwind start. So I go over to my terminal and I'm going to run the command. So I'm going to run this command right away. I am going to make this file available for you by the time you are viewing this video, for you to follow along in case you miss a step. Now let's go ahead and apply some styles. In our home.html file, I am going to the body tag, or let me create a div here. Let me create a div here. And I'm wrapping the contents here. Let me create a simple class. And let me say, alright, I will also like to add a background color. And I'm going to say bg and say background gray. Then I'm going to say gray 500. I like to use the blue color, so let me say blue, or let me say slate 500. Okay, there's an error here. I forgot to add the closing string. Okay, so we have that there. Alright, so we should see this running in our browser. We should see the styles applied in our browser. So let me go over to our browser and we are going to refresh this page. Okay, I forgot to start up my server, so I'm going back to my terminal and I'm going to start the server. I'm going to say Python manage.py run server. up and running. Let's go back to our page and reload the browser. So you see the styling that we applied, it has taken effect. Alright, so you can see the reason why I decided to add the styling data in our main.html file. Now let me go ahead and create one more page so you understand the reason why I had to extend this template. So inside of our main, where we created our home.html file, I would like to create another file, and I'm going to call it about.html, and I'm going to create a simple h1 tag. Here I'm going to say about page. Okay, let's see about page. Let me go ahead and save it right here. And what I want to do, I want to extend just what we have here. I'm going to extend. Okay, let me copy this. I'm going to extend it. So I'm going to extend it, and I'll call this about page. Okay, let me go ahead and save it. Let's see, let's apply some class here. Let's see, let's say background slate 200, and let's save this. And okay, let's go with this for now. So let's create a view. We haven't created a view for this, so it's not going to work. We'll go to our views.py file, and we will have to create a view function. We'll say def, and I'll create the function about. Now passing the request object, I will return the render method, passing the request and the name and location of the file, which is about.html. Alright, now I'm going back to the urls.py file, and I will create the route for it. And to create a route, I'll say path, and it should be available at about /about, and the use function handling this route should be the about function. Then the name of this file, the name of this page, we can access it using the name about. Then we have this all set up. We can now go to our browser and view this line. So go back to our browser and want to check out that page. We want to check out our about page. Let's go over and type in about, and we should have the page. Remember, when I created, I applied a style, and this is the slate 200. So what this means, so long as you're inheriting from that main template, you can apply any style of your choice. Let me do something here so you know that the styling is working. Let me go ahead and close this file, and close this file also. Go ahead and close all these files. Now in my about.html file, I want to apply an arbitrary style for you to know that this page is working. So I'm going to say, let me use a p tag. Let me say this is working, and I'm going to apply a style to it. I'm going to give it a padding. I'm going to give it a padding of 8. I'm going to give it a background color, and let me call it green. Let me give it a background color green 600, just so you know that it's working. Let me save this. This should do for now. Go back to my browser and let me refresh this page, and you should see it. There you have it. You can see that the styling is working. So we have successfully covered the aim, the objectives of this tutorial. Have seen how to install and set up a web application. Don't forget that you have to create your virtual environment. We have seen how to create simple view functions, create URL routes for the functions, and create templates, and we have also installed, set up our Tailwind CSS using the Django Tailwind app package, and we have it running. We can see that the Tailwind classes are working in our project. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, share to your friends, and feel free to comment in this video. I am going to share the file where you can follow along in case you have any issue in your installation. Thank you for watching this video.